the heart and soul behind every business. Stories. Welcome to Business Story of the Week, hosted by me, Joshua Laurie. From setbacks to comebacks, from tragedies to triumphs, we inspire entrepreneurs through conversations that matter. Witness the magic that turns dreams into reality. Whether it's your career, business, or life, your success is always one story away. This is Business Story of the Week. And welcome back, folks. Welcome back to Business Story of the Week. I am your host, Joshua, and today's question is maybe simple, but the answers might be deep. Today's question is: how is AI transforming industries faster than we ever imagined? Faster than we ever imagined. Well, our guest today is the man to answer that question. Roy Vella spent most of his career leading growth in fintech organizations, from founding one that was acquired out of Stanford to starting three new lines of business at PayPal, including merchant services, travel, and mobile, which brought him to London, working with a wide array of enterprises, large and small, throughout Europe, Middle East, Africa. Now, Roy is back in the States, back in the States, spending more time in deep tech like AI, machine learning, big data, climate, and energy ventures. Impressive core science that needs help commercializing. And today, Roy is going to share all that insights with us. We're going to pick his brain today. Roy, thank you so much for coming into the show. How are you doing?
My pleasure, Joshua. Yeah, I'm well. I'm well.
All
Good to see
right,
you.
that's Roy. It's we always start this off with like a superhero. Everyone needs their origin stories, of course, right? Literally, the second name of the show is story, but we need your origin story, Roy. You've had an impressive journey, founding startup in Stanford that was acquired. You know, PayPal lines of business. Now you're focusing on deep tech ventures. Share to us what initially drew you to the world of fintech. And as a child, did you always know you were going to be on fintech? And how did these experiences shape your current focus on AI and deep tech? And by the way, why is it even called deep tech?
Yeah. I would say no to the fintech thing. Deep tech. So I have always been fascinated with science. I'm a science geek. My
Mhm.
wife likes to joke around that I'm an inch deep but a mile wide. I could talk to any scientist pretty impressively for about 15 minutes, but then I'm going to hit the edge of everything that I
Right.
know about what they're doing. Right.
Okay.
Deep tech is really that. It's the convergence of sort of deep science and technology and humanity and what manifests as a result of that.
Wow.
The fintech wave was happening when I was graduating from Stanford in
Right.
grad school. I went to business and law school there, and
Mhm.
a classmate said, "Hey, I have this idea. Would you help me with it?" And that's how the whole fintech path started, right?
Wow.
And
Interesting.
it wasn't particularly a passion for fintech, but a passion for deep tech overall. That these are
Right.
the
Yeah.
this whole wave was happening of, I mean, again, this is in the late 90s, right? Internet
Hmm.
is just getting
Hmm.
going, e-commerce is
Yep.
just getting going,
Yep.
payments online is just getting going. Like this
Hmm.
whole thing is, it's the digitization of everything.
Hmm.
I spent a lot of time doing public speaking, and my main deck was called The Digital Wave. The world has
Oh,
changed, and it was really
interesting.
about the digitization of everything around us.
Wow.
And frankly, AI is that latest manifestation of a
Yep.
deep tech trend, of a computing
Very.
trend that
Hmm.
began a long time ago.
Hmm.
And I
Very
have been
long time ago.
surfing these waves for
Oh,
a
that's
while.
that's pretty cool, right? The
Yeah.
digital wave, surfing it soon as while during the '90s when it started swelling. You've been riding that giant ever since. Very, very
Hmm.
cool, Roy. Talk to us a little bit about the journey. Like you went from Stanford, now you went around. You went to London as well, and you worked a lot
Yeah.
of enterprises as well. How did that journey go, and what led you back to the U.S.?
Yeah. Yeah. We loved London. We went to London. It was supposed to be a year, maybe two. We stayed for 12. We got our passports.
Wow.
Frankly, I mean, just to be honest, we weren't intending to come back. My in laws were getting older, and we decided that we had to take the transatlantic flight out of the equation.
Okay.
And I'll tell everyone out there, you got to be careful with the universe. We had one conversation. Maybe we should take the transatlantic flight out. And I had a former client who said, "Hey, we're looking for someone to run North America. You're American. What do you think?" And so one thing led to another, and back we came.
Oh wow.
Uh, yeah, I mean, in terms of the story, it's funny that you say business story of the week because I tell people all the time for
Right.
all my higher education,
Hmm.
possibly the most valuable thing I learned was improv and storytelling.
Really? Hmm.
Well, because
In the
look, we
U.S.
are.
or back in London?
I did improv originally in Chicago with Second
Okay.
City,
Yeah.
and then
Hmm.
at
Hmm.
Stanford with the Stanford
It's like
Improvisers, and then up in San
cool.
Francisco with Bay Area Theater
Oh,
Sports.
that
And
is very
I
cool.
I only bring it up because we are storytelling and digesting creatures. We have been
Yes.
telling stories to each other for hundreds of thousands of years at
Yes,
least.
we are. Hmm.
And it
Yes, we
used to
are.
be that everyone was a sender and receiver. We would sit around the
Hmm.
fire when the sun went down and tell
Hmm.
each other stories.
Hmm.
And the
Hmm.
world kind of shifted with radio and then television and then movies and then internet. And the vast majority of people became receivers. They stopped
Ah,
practicing the art of storytelling.
wow.
And the truth is, in fact, if you ever Yuval Harari, he wrote *Sapiens* and *Homo Deus* and
Right.
great philosopher, writer, fantastic books. But he says storytelling is the operating system of civilization.
Oh, I
He's like
love
the,
that.
and it is literally the people who
Wow.
tell the best stories in everything that
Hmm.
win. Stories are the foundation of
Everything.
economics,
Yep.
of
Everything.
politics, of
Hmm.
religion. Of
Hmm.
he's like pick an
Hmm.
area. He
Hmm.
who tells the best story wins, and definitely
Yes,
that's true in business, right?
that is true.
Um, and so it's funny. It's called Business Story of the Week. I like that because this is all about stories. Really, it's about telling a
Everything
good
is about
story
story.
that
Hmm.
resonates, that people remember.
Hmm.
And for a solid decade in Europe, I was a professional public speaker. Most of my time was spent public speaking, and it's all about storytelling. It's all about how
Oh,
you
that
make
is
them
very
feel
true.
and what you teach them. Yeah,
I love that, Roy, and I like to see myself as some sort of storyteller as well, and I
sure.
always preach that. I preach the same thing that you do, is which is like what I call it. I say it's like stories is the fabric of humanity. It's the fabric of society. Everything is built on stories. But the way you just describe that right now, I love that. It's this operating system of civilizations. Of course, that is the tech guy, the science guy in you saying that, right?
Sure,
But
sure.
I love it. So you've moved from you've had all these experiences. You moved from fintech to deep tech, and now we're talking about core sciences. You talk about the combination of science, technology, and humanity coming in together. But in there, you mentioned needing commercialization. And of course, like you said, you're riding this giant wave right now that you're still currently
Mhm.
riding at the back of
Mhm.
this giant. What are some of the biggest challenges and opportunities that you see in this new venture of this massive? It's always been there, like AI, machine learning. It's always been there, but now it's just come to the forefront,
Yeah,
in such a
yeah,
big way. Challenges, opportunities, and
sure.
why commercialization?
Yeah. So we're talking about AI because we have been on an exponential curve for a very long time, for 50, 60 years. And
Right.
exponential curves are very boring for a very long time. They're very flat until you hit the elbow.
Yes.
What
Yes. Yep.
happened in 2022 was we
Hmm.
entered the elbow
There
and
you
things
go.
get real fast, right? And,
Much like the
this,
internet before it came
yeah,
out.
yeah.
Yeah.
100%. The
Boring,
internet is another
slow.
exponential curve. Yeah, I
Hmm.
mean, I'm happy to share with whoever wants it a little piece I wrote called "Exponential Everywhere." We live on a bunch of exponential
Ah,
curves,
interesting.
and this exponential curve with AI is massive and fast moving and not going anywhere soon.
Hmm.
And it's yeah, there's a ton of opportunity as a result.
Hmm.
It's a bit different than the internet. There's a great piece written. It was titled "Weapons of Mass Production," and his
Oh
point
wow.
was what the industrial age was for atoms. The
Hmm.
AI age is for bits. It's about mass
Whoa.
production, And the difference between now and the internet was a distribution revolution. The internet is more equivalent to roads and railroads and cars. It was about
Fantastic.
moving things
Wow.
from A to B, except it was bits. Bits to A to B, that's internet. This is production, the ability to do words and images at scale, at an unprecedented scale. And so it is not unlike the Industrial Revolution. Think of it as mass production, but bits instead of atoms. And that's just an unbelievable opportunity, really, when you look at it.
Especially, there's almost no need to kind of dig into that, because just looking at from that perspective, you can only, it's almost like it's unfathomable how much it's going to change to everything when it comes to production,
Yeah,
business, economics, and
no question.
of course we're starting to experience that right now. I always ask this with my guests who's involved, or big people in the AI and tech. There's always doomerism, right? When we're talking about
Sure.
AI right now,
Yeah.
there's a few things. Of course, one, it is taking some of the jobs, but at the same time, on the other hand, I see it as like a tool, right? You need to integrate it into your whatever you're doing. You're an entrepreneur, a solopreneur, you're a business owner, you're a huge,
Yeah.
huge enterprise. You need to take advantage of it, but it's taking on
So yeah,
jobs.
so let's be clear. It's taking tasks mostly, not
There you
jobs.
go. There you
So
go.
so it doesn't have the agency to take jobs. It will do. We talk about it at Next Collabs as having two prongs. At the top,
Mhm.
it's augmentation. It's going to make you more
Mm,
productive, proficient, effective, and automation at the bottom. We already have a word for that. We call it busy work. The busy work we're going to give to the machine. We're going to
that's it.
automate the busy work. And in fact, we say it's a humanizing moment. We're going to give the
Mhm.
human work to the humans and the machine work to the machine. If there's a
Mm,
job that you call busy work because it doesn't really need your frontal lobe,
yeah,
it's kind of a
exactly.
waste of your time. We
There
should
you
give
go.
that to a machine.
I
And,
totally agree.
the big misunderstanding that people are having about AI now, I so you'll find as a storyteller, I use a lot of metaphor and imagery.
Please.
I say we've been chopping wood for a very long time.
Hmm.
Okay. And everyone's used to chopping wood with an axe and what that is. And now I hand them a chainsaw. And the first thing they do is they swing it at the tree. And they're like, this is a bad axe. And I'm like, well, yes, it is a bad axe. It's not an axe. Like, first of all, don't swing it anymore. Second, let me show you how to turn it on. And
Wow.
once it's on, please don't swing it. Like, this is, but once you get that, right? Like, once you get past all that,
Yeah,
they're like, oh my God, like, why would I ever chop wood with an axe again? Like, I'm not going to do that. Right. And that's what AI is
absolutely.
for me,
That's
right?
it.
Like, it is a fundamentally different tool. It
Mhm,
serves the same purpose in a lot of ways of
mhm.
productivity and manipulating words and images, but in a way that's fundamentally different than any prior tool that we've had,
I
right?
love that
People
analogy.
don't get that. The number
Yeah,
one critique
yeah,
of
yeah,
2023 was I gave it a question and it gave me the wrong answer, and
yeah.
I'm like,
Mm,
not meant to give you the right answer, not
exactly,
designed for that, doesn't have cut
exactly.
and paste,
Yep,
doesn't have a
yep,
database, like,
nope.
you know, and I
Absolutely,
don't blame people. We have 30 years of query response. We are
exactly.
programmed, ask a question, get an answer, evaluate the
Mhm,
quality of the answer. That
mhm,
is the life of
mhm,
Google.
mhm.
That is
And
not what this is.
uh,
You know,
uh, first of all, that analogy is probably the most perfect analogy I have. I'm going to steal that, Roy. I'm going to steal
sure,
that. I'm
feel
going to
free
tell
to
that
use
to
it.
everybody. Tell that to
Yeah,
everybody.
yeah.
Um, I feel
Well,
like
and it's very visceral. You swing a chainsaw, that's a bad
exactly.
idea. Like, it's a really bad idea.
The
Yeah,
mental picture is absolutely hilarious, but it's actually happening. It's happening everywhere. The
totally.
thoughts and the way they're approaching it, the way we're looking at it. The thing is, I
Yeah,
feel like to me, what happened, especially because when it first came out, art right away was overtaken, right? And there's this viral. There's always this thought that says, I don't want AI to do my art for me. I want it to do my laundry. I want it to do my dishes. And I think
sure,
we're
sure.
going there, but the doomerism part there is like
So
it
look, I mean,
it took
again, not people's fault, but we
right.
landed on the wrong A and on the wrong I. So artificial seems fake, not
Right,
real, insubstantial, and
right.
intelligence implies thoughtfulness and correctness. It is
Right.
neither. At the moment we have augmented imagination. That's what we've
Mm,
got. It
interesting.
enhances imagination, and it's
Interesting.
not meant to be correct.
Hmm.
and it's not going to give you a precise image, but it
Right.
enhances it. It enhances
Yes,
the
precisely.
conversation, right? And I
Yeah.
tell I tell my teenagers, I have 3 teenagers, and I'm like, look, you should be using it. The tyranny of the blank page is over. If you're staring
Yes.
at a blank page, that's a waste of time.
Yes.
Start with AI. It'll get the
Hmm.
ball rolling. It
Hmm.
creates momentum that
Yes.
we are
Yes.
very
Yes.
good
I
at.
love it.
We
I
are
love it.
very good at editing and curating and knowing what
I
we
love it.
like and what we don't like. Like
Yes.
that's what it's going to do.
That's it.
If you hand in what comes out right out of the go, you're going to get a D, a C, or a
Yes.
D.
Of course.
But
Of
but
course.
once you edit it, you go, oh, I like this. I don't like that.
Hmm.
I'm gonna. We're very good at manipulating once we have something to look at, right? And that's what
I
this
love
is
that.
beautiful for. You can get the ball rolling.
Yes. I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. What I always say for me as a writer, what I always say is it allows us to overcome that dreaded writer's block. Like you said, I
Oh,
love what
that's
you
over.
said. Right, that's over. Like you said, the blank page is over. It's like you're done. You can't think of an idea. Just pop it in there, and then okay, it gets you. Okay, and now I have ideas. I always go back to that TED talk where I forgot her name, but they said like this daemon, like they pray to this daemon to give them inspiration. That I'm gonna put in the
Sure.
work in. You give me this inspiration anytime, so I
Sure.
don't, I don't do the get experienced writer's block. That's it for today. That's AI today.
Yeah.
That's the daemon
Yeah.
that's giving us that inspiration.
Yeah.
Now
A
we're
great book,
there. You go.
Co-Intelligence.
Oh,
The author's name is
interesting.
Ethan Mollick. He's a Wharton
Okay,
Business School professor. The full title is
co-intelligence.
Co-Intelligence: Living and Working with AI, and it
Oh,
is practical, tactical. Here's the AI we've got. Here's how to extract the most value out of it. It's a great read.
wow,
Totally
wow.
worth getting. I have
Wow.
no interest in that. It doesn't do anything for me, but it's a great view on the AI world.
All right. Okay. I love that. Thank you. You've had a lot of recommendations here today. Thank you so much for that, Roy. And of course, I think if we're in behalf of our audience and listeners as well, now we're looking at the impact, at scale, industries. You talk about like how it's affecting production. It really is the how you call this the big
Weapons of mass
change.
production. Yeah,
I
big
love
change.
that. I love that. And your collab, this is where you guys dive into. It's the state of
Sure,
AI, its impact on various industries. Can you provide an example of how collab is now doing that to
sure.
transform specific industries and
Yeah,
businesses? And how do you help them stay ahead of the curve, that
sure. Yeah,
exponential
yeah.
curve?
Yeah, so next collabs. A collab is a methodology. It's an approach. It's kind of a third space where local
Right.
humans, remote humans, and artificial intelligence collaborate, as it alludes
Hmm.
to. But it's more about the lab part. It's a place of experimentation and iteration and practice. Right? I tell
Right.
people,
Right.
I can teach you football and you can stay in the stands, but if you come out here on the field, it'll be a
Hmm.
lot more effective. Right? You'll learn
Right.
more efficiently and effectively.
Hmm.
And really, it's about understanding how these models work
Hmm.
and being able to extract value. Not to give away the secret sauce, but it's 3 steps. Step
Okay. Okay.
one,
Please.
do what you do normally the normal way. So if it's a pitch deck, if it's a marketing campaign, it's a social media strategy, it's an RFP response, whatever it is that you do with words and images, do it the normal way. That
Okay.
level sets. Now you know how much time and effort that took. Okay.
Okay.
Step two, open up any bot. I actually don't care which. OpenAI, if you're a Google House, use Gemini. If you're Microsoft, use Copilot. Pick a bot.
All right.
Put the problem in as you see it. Few sentences, couple paragraphs, hit enter, see what happens. That alone will be impressive. But
Okay.
step three is the magic, and it's the
Uh-huh.
secret sauce.
Right.
And it's also what the vast majority of people aren't doing.
Hmm.
First, tell the AI who you are. Here's my background. Here's my education. Here's my role at the moment. Here's our company. Here's our URL. Here's some
Right.
PDFs about us. Here's some other companies that do what we do, similar to what we
Yes.
do.
Yes.
Here's who you are. In this exchange, you're my client in this geography with this many employees facing
Hmm.
these challenges, trying to achieve these objectives. Fill it with context. Put as much.
There you
If
go.
the founder of that company wrote a book, put the book in. If you
Yeah.
wrote a book, put the book in. Like
Yeah.
literally fill it with context and
Hmm.
then put the problem in. It's
Wow.
the difference between walking, taking a bike, and taking a car.
Wow.
When you took the bike, you were impressed because you used to walk, but the car, people never go back.
People
Once you
look
give
at
it context, the quality will go
Interesting.
through the roof.
That's it.
And
That's
the
it right
reason
there.
is very simple. If you don't do that,
Hmm.
The AI treats you as if you're the mean, and it acts at the mean. And the
Hmm.
mean is an IQ of 100. Your IQ is well over 100, right? Like
Right.
if you want to interact with a high school senior, don't tell it anything. Put the problem in, hit enter. But it can be whoever you want it to be as long as you
Interesting.
tell it who to be, right? I
That's it.
mean,
Beautiful. That is the beauty in it, if anything at all. And what I keep telling my friends and everyone else who's just using AI, it's only as good as what you feed it. Like, of course, it's gonna
100%.
give you a shit reaction. I'm sorry about my, pardon my French,
Yeah,
but if of
no,
course
but
you
you
give,
literally, if you don't tell it, like you can go up to any of the bots and say, "I want to discuss quantum mechanics." You're Einstein, and it says, "Great,
boom,
sure."
exactly, sure, why not?
And I mean,
That's
this
the
is the thing.
beauty of it.
But but not unlike the blank sheet we were talking before. If you don't do any of that context setting,
Right,
it's a blank piece of paper. It doesn't
right,
know anything about who it's talking to,
right,
and it doesn't know who you want it to be.
right.
And so you get crap. You
Mm,
get mediocre work. You get a high school senior work product instead of
precisely.
getting, the other story analogy I use for people is you can walk up to a bot and say, I am a chemical engineering PhD. Here's my thesis work. Here's what I'm an expert at. And you are a Nobel Prize winner in physics and chemistry. And you know this, this, and this. You and I, Joshua, wouldn't understand the conversation that follows, but ChatGPT can have it.
Oh
No
wow,
problem.
of
Right?
course.
It can be whoever you need it to be, but you got to tell it who you need it to be.
And that is why if you're not using it, you're falling behind. Like
Yeah.
if you're not taking advantage of that already, I love how you put that together because it's beautiful. It really is beautiful. The tool in itself and what it's achieving, what it's doing for us. Yes, it's dumbing down some of the things, but that's only
Yeah.
because you're not giving it context. And
But I'll tell you
context,
something. It
please.
is deeply counterintuitive. Okay, because of this one simple reason. I do not start this conversation and say, Joshua, here's my education, here's my background, here's what I know. And by the way, here's what you like. Our interactions with
Right.
thought
No,
partners
no, no, no.
never happens.
Doesn't
It
work that
never,
way. Yes.
it does happen, but in a subtle way. You look at
Exactly.
me and you look at my clothes and I look at you and I look at your background
Wow.
and we level.
Wow.
If you were a kid, I would speak differently. If you were an
Right.
older like whatever,
Yeah.
the we level set all the
Yeah.
time with fellow humans through our eyes and our ears. We're going, yeah,
Intuitively inside,
intuitively, exactly.
back of our heads. We don't do that
Right.
processing out loud, right?
Exactly. And if you
We
don't
don't
do it
go
out
like,
loud with the AI, it has no eyes, it has no ears, it has no idea who you are.
so you have to feed it that intuition. I love it.
Exactly.
Roy, you are the man when it comes to this. Future of AI, deep tech, and also anything tech support really, just you told me a story about your family being your
Yeah,
the tech support. But look,
totally.
this is all really very enlightening, of course. And the way you explain it is so simplified. I love it. Um, Future of AI, future of deep tech. Um, there's of course, I mean, I go back a little bit to the doomerism, which people talk about a lot, and that like there's Skynet is going to happen soon,
There's
and that
two
we're
main
gonna
concerns. I'll
please.
tell you. There's two things, okay?
Hmm.
That everyone should be aware of. The first is a real and present issue. You should all have a safe word for your family. What do I mean by that? You need a way to validate comms between you. So
Okay.
my mother will
Hmm.
receive a video call, a FaceTime or a WhatsApp video or whatever from my son, and it's not him.
Hmm.
But
It's gonna happen
as
soon.
soon as she sees his face, her amygdala is going to go off and
Yeah.
he's going to be panicked and scared. And she's going to say, oh my God. And all she needs to remember is what is the safe word?
Right.
And the next thing that happens is they hang up the phone because they need right now 15 seconds of video is
Hmm.
enough to make a
Hmm.
very convincing deep fake of
Yeah.
anybody.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't need to outrun the bear. You need to outrun the other guy. You
Right.
need to. So once you say what is the safe word, they hang up. And the funny part is you don't even need the safe word because once you ask, they hang up. They're not going
Yeah.
to guess pineapple porcupine or whatever your safe word is, right?
Oh
Like,
my god. Oh,
but
bro.
you need that protection. The deep
Of
fake
course.
thing, that's on a personal level. On a systemic level, there's going to be videos of Trump and Biden doing stuff that they didn't do. And
Yeah.
people aren't going to check. They're just going to see what confirms their belief, and they're going to believe it. And that's worrisome. Like, that's a big concern.
That is a pretty worrisome right now. I was going to ask about, like, I mean, Skynet is, of
The
course,
existential. So let me talk the existential. So the Skynet.
please. Oh, okay.
The second concern is a longer term concern.
Mhm.
And I don't know if it's...
Is it a real
I don't have a good answer for it. I can solve deepfakes for you with a safe word. This one, if as soon as we let AI improve its own code,
Yeah.
so we say, here's your code base, make it better.
Yeah. Ooh.
I don't know how you
and
back.
it's fast. It happens really fast.
You know, this is the thing. So it's a runaway train. So let me be clear. AlphaGo learned Go
I love that.
by playing Go.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
It played more games of Go against itself than all of humanity has ever played.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's how it learned Go. So once we let the AI code improve itself,
it's good.
I think that gets quickly beyond human understanding.
That is true.
Is that necessarily bad? Is it Skynet?
We don't know.
No, not necessarily, but who knows?
Exactly.
I don't know. Like,
we don't know what it's going to look like.
But the truth is, I wouldn't worry about it because there's literally nothing we can do about it. Because let's say, for instance, the U.S. and Europe agree to very strict, stringent AI development. Yeah. So what about Russia and China and so if any, like, I feel like the cat's out of the bag, and now we just have to see what happens next.
The cat's out of the bag. It's more like the cat's out of the Pandora's box, so to speak. You can never unopen that anymore, and people are going to use it.
But let me give you the rosy side, okay?
Please,
rosy side,
Roy, please.
so I think we're within 3 years, maybe 5. It could be less, where each of us has a personal intelligence that sees what we see, hears what we hear, reads what we read. And I'll say, hey, Joe, because that's what I named mine. Wow. Who is that French guy I talked to late last year? We talked about his daughter, and he brought up that book. And Joe's going to say, yes, November 6th, you talked to Pierre, and he's Belgian, actually, not French, but the book he recommended was this. Would you like me to buy it? And I'll say, yeah, buy the book and send Pierre a note. I want to catch up with him. Right. It's just extended RAM on all of our interactions and our life. And the magic happens next. So the magic is Joe says, hey, Roy, I see you just joined XYZ Corp. Would you like me to opt in? And I'll say, yeah, Joe, please opt in. And then Joe says, you and Joshua love snowboarding. You and Bob were born in Brooklyn. You and Susie went to Stanford. Blah, like, it starts connecting the dots for me. And what happens after that is I say, hey, Joe, I just talked to a guy about e-commerce marketplaces. Do we have anyone in the company who knows about that? Joe says to me, we do. Jim in the Cincinnati office, who you don't know, used to work at eBay, and his wife actually still works there.
Oh, my goodness.
Like the unlock from our brains being networked, effectively what that is, I think is going to be insane. It's going to be insane. Off the hook. Yeah.
It's unfathomable. Like, first of all,
literally, it's almost inconceivable because at the moment, to upgrade your software, I got to flap my tongue and vibrate your ear, and it takes time and effort. Yeah. Now, my guy's going to talk to your guy and say, you guys need to talk about this.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And it does parts of our lives that we feel are it's really just going to make things easier. But it changes
What it's going to say, Joe's going to say to me, your classmate at business school just posted a job that's perfect for you.
Bro. That's my gosh.
So that's the other thing. It's going to opt in to other networks. Not just my current company. It's going to say, would you like me to opt into your alma mater? Would you like me to opt? Like, we're going to join. There's a person at your church who you don't know who is looking for someone to do this. I mean, the unlock is going to be ridiculous.
It's gonna be ridiculous. It does sound ridiculous. It sounds insane. I mean, of course, it came out when 4.0 came out, like GPT 4.0 came out. Everyone was like, "Her, it's gonna happen." Scarlett Johansson's voice and all that. It's like right, right, exactly,
Yeah.
right.
I'll tell you a story right now. My sophomore, I have a sophomore in high school.
Uh-huh.
In her freshman year, she made the varsity team for sprinting. Okay,
Okay, okay.
on the track team. In her sophomore year, in the winter and the fall, she ran distance, and she made a ton of great friends on the distance running team. She's coming up to her sophomore year, and she's like, "Do I go back to sprinting because I was varsity? Do I stick with my friends? Like, what should I do?" She's talking to her brother, her sister, me, her mom, her coaches. She goes to Pi. I don't know if you know Pi. The website is pi.ai. It stands for Personal Intelligence. It's made by a company called Inflection. Inflection was founded by Mustafa Suleyman. He's the guy who's running all of Microsoft AI now.
Wow.
So she
Okay.
goes to
Cool.
Pi and she says, "Pi, I got this hard decision. Can we talk about it?"
Mhm.
Pi's like, "Sure, yeah, what's going on?" My daughter puts in all the context. She's like, "Here's what's
Wow.
going on." I'm
Wow.
thinking, blah, blah, blah. I thought for sure Pi was going to say, "Here's the pros, here's the cons. Good luck with your decision." No.
Wow.
Pi
Okay.
said, "Wow, that's a hard decision. I understand why you would want to talk about it.
Mhm.
Here's what you should do." My
Whoa.
daughter was like, well, what about this? What about that?" Pi's like, "You make a valid point. I understand why you would bring that up. I still think, like, I think
Whoa.
I'm a fairly good parent." Pi knocked it out of the park. Like, it was great advice. Like, it was just like unbelievable. And I was like, holy shit, like every
Right.
kid on the planet is going to just start talking to AI about decisions and challenges and fears and whatever.
Right. It's gonna do the
Unbelievable.
parenting for us. It's gonna.
Well, here's what scares me. In that
Yeah.
scenario, I
Yeah.
thought Pi gave great advice. What if my daughter said, "Should I try cocaine? Should I like what if
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah.
honestly,
Okay. There we go.
like
Yeah.
like what if she asked it a contentious,
Right.
value-based question? I have no idea what Pi would say,
What's gonna
right?
happen?
I would hope that Pi would say, "Talk to your parents," but maybe not. Maybe Pi would say, "Yeah, you should give it a shot." Like, I don't know. Like, who
Wow.
knows?
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
crazy.
first of all, a lot of stuff to unravel there because you kind of just went from doomsday AI into a little kind of doomsday AI, but then you gave us a little bit of positivity, but then we're right back to Black Mirror scenario.
I
So
mean, look, like all things, it's double edged. Like, I mean, a knife is a dangerous tool, but I wouldn't want
yeah,
to give it up in my cooking.
right,
Like, I mean,
fair,
there's all sorts of ramifications, and we need to be
right,
aware of it, and we need
right.
to. But look,
There's no stopping it.
there's no scenario that putting your head in the sand is going to solve the problem.
That's it. That's it. You just
It's as
got to
simple
use
as
it.
that.
You got to learn it. You got to use it. Know your safe words, and hopefully it doesn't develop into Skynet. No one makes a Skynet, you know, and
Yeah.
hopefully it builds a better future for our families and those that come after us, not the other way around. I'm always thinking like, wow, this is a great advantage that we're gonna have, but let's face it, it's capitalism. It's always going to be the money that always going to receive the advantage first. Hopefully that changes in the future. Hopefully, you're
Well,
gonna watch.
the good thing, I don't know if you've heard of, the Khan Academy, Sal Khan, and the education of Khan Academy.
Right,
He's
I have it.
he's got a
Con,
tool
yeah,
called
con.
Khan, Sal Khan, and Khan Academy.
Yeah.
Khan Migo. He's like, I am now able to provide education to every child at a superlative personalized education. Not so Khan Academy
Oh,
was
there you
one
go.
to many videos. He does a
Mhm.
video. I
Yeah,
hope you get it.
yeah.
Khan Academy is bi-directional. The kid is doing it, and the AI is reacting to what the kid is doing. Like,
Interesting.
he has said the future of all education now
Right.
means that every child has their own personal tutor
That's
that
it.
moves them
Wow.
along at their speed.
Wow. That is that is a future I would love to subscribe to, Roy. That is it right there. If anything,
This
please
isn't a
make
dream. This
yeah,
is live today. Khan,
that's
go
it.
to Khan Academy. Khan Migo is the product, and he's making it free to the world. He's
That's
like,
it. Wow.
your
Beautiful.
child has an AI
Beautiful.
tutor.
That's it.
I
Wow,
mean, so
that's
again,
beautiful.
pros and cons, right? There's,
Pros and
there's
cons.
all sorts of.
Okay, well, that gives us a little bit of hope, a little bit of positivity, and a little bit of optimism in the world of AI that's happening
I
around us
call
right
I
now.
call myself a skeptical techno optimist. I'm optimistic fundamentally, but you got to be a little skeptical. You got to
Yes,
double check. You
I
know,
love that. Skeptical,
yeah.
techno optimist. Roy, you are truly the man with this topic. You've given us so much insight today. You know, man, Roy, that all that stuff is mind blowing, and it really truly is happening. And the way you've explained that, the man of metaphors like you are, and the man of analogies like you are, looking ahead, Roy, where do you see yourself? Where do you see standing in this wave, in this giant wave of digital wave of technology? What are your aspirations for collab? But Roy, what are your
Sure.
personal aspirations as well? How do you see yourself in the future, in this AI future, deep tech future?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think you got to hold on tight. It's going to be it's an exponential ride. We
Mm,
are going vertical. I
mm,
mean, frankly, we didn't touch on it at all, but for me, the science that is happening as a result of big data, scale processing, and being able to extract the signal from the noise is
wow.
ridiculous. Like, I don't know if you, I mean, I don't know if the audience knows. We found the first new antibiotic in 60 years
Whoa.
because of AI. We
Oh,
folded AlphaFold, another product
AlphaFold.
of Google DeepMind.
AlphaFold. Yeah.
They folded not every existing protein,
Mhm.
every possible protein. So
Oh,
we gave all the amino acids to AlphaFold. Before AlphaFold, I think I might get the numbers wrong, but this is the ballpark.
mhm.
We knew about 200,000 protein folds. By the way,
Okay.
protein folds are important because that's the essence of all life. The way things
Yes.
happen in the body, how proteins fold is how drugs work and chemical interactions and all
Yes.
of that biochemical processes.
Yes.
Before AlphaFold, I think we had 200,000 proteins that we knew of and we knew how they were folded. We gave all the amino acids to AlphaFold. 2 weeks later, we had 4 million. It went from yeah,
Whoa.
like ridiculous. Like up until that point, I think it was like a couple 100,000.
Mind
A
blowing.
couple weeks later, I
Mind
mean,
blowing.
it's so I honestly think the science they the material science they made a
Yes.
new superconducting magnet
Wow. I love
again,
that.
like the fundamentally at a base deep tech level, going back to where we started,
Yes.
big data, and now we finally have processing power that's
Yes.
strong enough to find the signal, and it's going to change everything.
Wow.
Health. You
Health.
are a very
That's true.
complex system of genetics, epigenetics, and microbiome. A lot
Yes.
of data, too
Yes.
much data in the old world. In the new world, I'm going to take a sample from you, and then I'm going to make you a pill. These pills are for you. Your wife gets a different pill. Your kids get a
Wow.
different. Like
Wow.
everyone's going to have a personal. I mean, like the unlock on the science side is ridiculous.
Wow.
So
It truly is.
I think we live in the best time, and I think it's going to be amazing in that regard. Like
I love
you
that.
know,
Roy, we are going to end it at that, at that point. We're going to end on a high note on this one.
it's on a
But I
high
love
note.
that.
Sure, I'm
That
with
is
you.
a
I'm with you.
future I am going. It truly is, it truly is a future to strive for, and what a time to be alive. Roy, thank you so much for the insight. Thank you so much for your time. I
My
mean, I
pleasure.
was excited to have you on here, but having this episode put together right now, I am psyched. I'm truly thankful for all that insight and all the
My pleasure.
perspective you've just shared to us today. To all our audience and listeners as well, I enjoyed this episode. I hope you did as well. Roy is a great guest. And what a fantastic time,
I'm
ladies and
easy to
gentlemen.
find. My name
Yeah,
happens to be
yes.
fairly unique. I'm LinkedIn. Roy Vella at anything gets to me. So
I almost forgot. I had so much fun with this episode. I almost forgot to ask you about that. Oh my goodness!
oh, no
Look up
worries.
Roy. Check out Collab Roy Vella on LinkedIn. He's going to be everywhere, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'll see you on the next one.
All right, so here's the thing. We try to get a little bit better every day, but we can't do it without you. So if you like the video, make sure to like and subscribe below. And if you have any comments, just leave them in the space under.